Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's Explainer. We've got an absolute ton of ground to cover today as we unpack the really critical e-commerce shifts from the past week. We're going to start with a rapid-fire look at the news to get you totally up to speed, and then we're going to slow things down and really dig into 5 crucial tactical deep dives that you absolutely need to be paying attention to right now. Okay, let's just dive right into it.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll hit the week's top headlines first, then jump into our 5 tactical deep dives: Google's AI search visibility, ChatGPT's new traffic mechanics, scaling on Amazon in 2026, the massive logistics shift, and finally, Shopify's role in the new era of agentic commerce.
All right, let's kick things off with a high-energy sprint through the biggest macro moves shaping the industry this week.
The platform wars? Yeah, they are officially heating up. First off, TikTok Shop is just crushing it, hitting an estimated $50.3 billion global run rate. And get this, the intent-based Shop tab is actually beating out video and live streams for sales. Meanwhile, over at Amazon, they're actively battling AI bots on their own turf. They're even restricting some human shoppers to reading just 8 reviews before throwing up a blockade, suspecting they might be scrapers like Perplexity. In the corporate world, GameStop quietly bought 9.8% of eBay, floating a joint venture for trading cards to sidestep a massive takeover bid. Over in AI, Meta made a huge open-source play by releasing their 30 billion parameter Muse Glimmer agent model under a permissive Apache 2.0 license. Contrast that with OpenAI, who just delayed their upcoming Astra model because it actually scored critical for cyber risks. Basically, it's getting uncomfortably good at autonomous hacking.
Now, this perfectly illustrates the crazy shifting economics of AI right now. Shopify recently brought its Sidekick AI in-house. Instead of renting expensive compute from frontier models, they started fine-tuning smaller models daily on their own data. The result? They literally slashed their compute costs by an incredible 96%. They're saving millions while making the whole system faster. AI costs are just collapsing for companies willing to do the actual engineering.
Okay, shifting gears to our tactical deep dives, let's talk about Google AI search visibility.
So, Google added a dedicated generative AI view to Search Console, which is great. But here's the catch. It is purely an impressions report. It doesn't tell you clicks or queries. So to actually understand what's happening, you have to join the data. You export the generative AI view, export your standard performance report, and then join them together using the URLs. Once you do that, you tag those URLs by page taxonomy. Is it a product page, a blog, a guide? This takes a useless raw list and turns it into real, actionable analysis. Once you have that joined data, you can map your pages into 4 quadrants based on their organic rank versus their AI visibility. Now, Quadrant B is absolutely where the magic happens. These are pages with modest organic rank but super high AI visibility. They punch way above their weight. Why? Usually, it's because they have clean, machine-readable data. Think original tables and direct, clear answers right at the top of the page. If you can replicate those traits, you are going to win in this new discovery engine.
And honestly, that builds perfectly into our next deep dive, ChatGPT's new traffic hose.
ChatGPT just made a silent but massive update. They are turning brand mentions into clickable, attributable destination links. What does this mean for you? Well, if you have a standalone DTC site, a clear, readable homepage that the model recognizes, you are perfectly positioned to catch this new, intent-rich traffic. But if you are an Amazon-only seller, you are entirely locked out. Amazon has spent the last year actively blocking AI crawlers, meaning ChatGPT literally has no way to see or link to your catalog.
This is a pretty harsh reality check for your digital footprint. AI platforms heavily reward brands with highly legible, consistent entity signals across the web. They push all the traffic to fewer, stronger entities. So if your presence is thin, fragmented, or trapped behind a marketplace wall, you're getting quietly penalized. Your homepage isn't just the lobby anymore. It's literally the front line for conversions from conversations you never even knew were happening.
Speaking of marketplaces, let's dive into scaling Amazon in 2026.
Listen, if you sell on Amazon, the old playbook of launch, run PPC, and chase rank is completely dead. Scaling there is purely a margin game now. The new 2026 fee stack, especially those low inventory fees biting at the variant level, will absolutely punish you. You can't rely on blended average margins anymore. That thinking will destroy your profitability. You've got to optimize your pack architecture. Multipacks and bundles are practically mandatory now to raise your average order value against fixed fees. And please, Audit your SKU-level contribution margins before spending a single dollar on ads.
And the reason your margins have to be so incredibly tight is because discovery is just getting so much more complex. Your listing has to survive a 3-layer gauntlet now. You've got the old A10 algorithm looking for keywords. Then, Cosmo interprets shopper intent and context. And sitting right on top is Rufus, a conversational AI layer answering hundreds of millions of queries directly. Rufus doesn't care about keyword stuffing. It wants to know exactly what problem your product solves, who it's for, and when it gets used.
But hey, we can't talk about Amazon without looking at the physical world. Let's get into the massive logistics and fulfillment shift.
A fundamental rift has opened up right beneath our feet. Legacy carriers like UPS and FedEx are intentionally stepping away from low-margin e-commerce volume because they need to keep their yields high for Wall Street. They are playing a totally different game now, and that is creating a massive vacuum that Amazon is happily dominating.
Look at this dominance. It is just staggering. Amazon Logistics moved roughly 6.9 billion parcels. Billion! They basically reverse-engineered fulfillment straight from the point of sale. And now they're so confident in their infrastructure that they've cut the volume they hand off to the USPS by 20%, proving they are even conquering those tricky rural routes. If you aren't plugging into Amazon's logistics, you are facing a really fragmented and expensive alternative market. All right, for our final tactical breakdown, let's talk about Shopify and the wave of agentic commerce.
Shopify just dropped some numbers that will absolutely blow your mind. They reported that referral sessions from AI chatbots like ChatGPT and Perplexity grew a massive 8 times year over year. But get this, actual AI-driven orders grew nearly 13 times. This isn't some future prediction. The shift is already here.
So what's actually driving this? It's agentic commerce. This is a whole new model where an AI assistant does all the heavy lifting, autonomously searching, comparing, and shortlisting products for a human buyer. The kicker here is that AI doesn't care about your gorgeous lifestyle photography or your brand's backstory. It only cares if your store serves up clean, machine-readable, structured data through systems like Shopify's Universal Commerce Protocol.
And here is the terrifying reality for the traditional DTC playbook. For 15 years, we bought traffic, tracked it on our site with a pixel, and retargeted it. But in an agentic world, all that browsing and comparing happens off-site, inside completely untrackable AI models. Sure, Shopify's checkout captures the final transaction, but you lose all that upstream behavioral data. Your retargeting pixels have literally nothing to watch because discovery has detached completely from the storefront. Which brings us to the end of our briefing, and I really want to leave you with this provocative thought. Shopify was built on the promise of helping you own the customer. But as they perfectly position themselves to process all these new AI transactions, you have to ask yourself, in this agentic era, are you truly building a relationship with your customer? Or are you simply acting as a settlement rail for an AI assistant? How do you build demand when the storefront is bypassed entirely? Something to really chew on. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.